And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. You know the deal. Go visit our good friends at Hail Mary's. They are located on the main drag through Cheviot, right on Harrison Avenue. They are within the Dora district, so you can walk from bar to bar with your drinks. They have 27 TVs. Great place to watch the Olympics. Outside of the bathrooms, there's not a bad seat in the house when it comes to viewing a big game. They subscribe to all the DirecTV sports packages. They can stream all the Cincinnati games, and they will always be on the main video wall. They've got a brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft system. They not only pour the coldest beer around, but they pour it in a 32.8 degree frosted glass. So visit them. Hail Mary Sports Bar, located in Cheviot. What was that? Kids. Damn kids. All right, Aaron. Well, let's get it rolling on a Sunday night. We did have a commitment yesterday. Gio Contosis. He is one of the better prospects in the class. As soon as he jumps in, has a composite or 24/7 grade of 88, composite grade of 88. He is the number 87 wide receiver in the country, number 544 nationally in the composite, and the 15th best player in Maryland. So that's a big win for Scott Satterfield and company, getting a 6'1", bigger outside type wide receiver. They've had a lot of success, Aaron, with the smaller guys, the inside guys. Good to see them, going out and stocking up on the outside as well.
I was starting to get a little nervous that we were only going to see receivers come in somewhere between 5'7" and 6 foot, and that was it.
Well, Michael Skinner's big, but
yeah. But no, it's good to see, especially looking at some of the names that were involved in this. I know Pitt was one of those names. I believe Tennessee was one of those names. There were certainly some big names involved in his final four.
Yeah. Maryland, I think, was involved too.
I think I did see that, as he is from Maryland.
Local, so. Yes.
But no, good to see. Top 100 receiver. Obviously, that's the kind of guy that you want to stockpile when you're trying to continue to rebuild a wide receiver core, that rather than trying to work the transfer portal every season, these are the kind of guys you want.
I mean, you have to do both. Like, that's the reality of it. You got to go find guys that are going to help you right away, and you got to get some guys in the system that you hope will help you early in their career, but that you want to grow and build with. And for me, I like, this is a couple cycles in a row that they've been able to dip into Maryland and grab a player. And that's a really good area for football. So if you can dip into the DMV, that DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and get some kids here and there. Like, I don't think it's not going to be a bulk of your class, but if you can dip down in there and get a couple, one or two every year, I think that's certainly a good region of the country to have a little bit of a pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen. I want to say, I think you're right. I think has been at least one from each of these last couple. Patrick Body, I remember he was from Maryland.
Brian Sims.
That was, yeah. So no, good.
They had somebody last year too.
Good to see him tapping into that pipeline, and hopefully it continues, as it's certainly an area that's got a lot of talent coming out of it year in, year out.
Yeah. So there you go with that. Keegan has more on the website, and obviously talking about it on the message board. NCAA stuff, Aaron. The House lawsuit is pretty much finalized. We don't have all of the details yet. It's settled. And that went through on Friday. One of the main things, I think the main thing coming out of that, is the NCAA talking about being much more diligent, cracking down on true NIL, which makes sense. If the schools are going to pay the players, make NIL what it's supposed to be, not an avenue to pay the players.
Right.
I think that's, if you let that go unchecked and you're paying the players on the record and still paying the players very illegally off the record, it's already getting out of control. Like I said the other night, there's the number one player in 25, AJ Devanza. I'm hearing $5 to $6 million for his 1 year of college.
Bananas.
Which will come in the form of NIL,
Sure.
allegedly. And he will have to go read to elementary school kids for 30 minutes a day, and they'll give him $50,000 a week. Like, what? Imagine how much stuff he has to do, quote unquote, if it was legitimate NIL for that type of money.
I've got 30 minutes a week.
I'll go read. Yeah. If that's the going rate for reading to elementary kids, count me in.
I've got hours I can free up.
Yeah. I can do a book. Forget a chapter. I will read them a book. War and Peace. You got it, dog.
Sign me up.
But that's, I mean, the thing that always bothered me about the way that NIL, because the NCAA screwed it up. Make no mistake. This is the NCAA screwed it up.
Yeah.
But NIL, for what it's supposed to be, like, there are rates for going to a car dealership and doing an appearance. NFL guys do it. Like, there are, baseball, whatever, professional athletes do these type of appearances, and there's a going rate for them. And college should follow those basic standard rates. Now, obviously, there's some variance. If you're in a college town and the guy's the biggest, he's a Heisman candidate or whatever, and he's worth a little bit more money, I don't mind stretching the rule of the law, because I do think you're in a sense worth what somebody will pay you.
Sure.
But if there's a service that's supposed to be paid for, it should be commensurate with the cost of that service, not just an avenue to launder money to players.
Well, I mean, we've seen is it? I don't remember if it's McCluskey or Weiler or whichever dealer when the Reds are playing. I think it's Hunter Green right now. Before Hunter Green, I believe it was Moustakas.
Yeah.
So they're just
JTM had Bronson Arroyo back in the day. Like,
right.
These guys are doing this stuff to make money.
Right.
There are going rates.
Right. And I think it would be absurdity to see college guys coming in and making more than, at least around in this area, there is a bar that has been set by the professional athletes in the city. So it'd be bananas to see a college athlete come in and making
more than Joe Burrow or Ellie De La Cruz
or Hunter Green.
Yeah.
An all-star.
A transfer probably that's never played here is getting more. Like, that's silly. Like, that's not the nature of what that was supposed to be about. So I don't mind them. And this was with the caveat. The schools are paying the players. There is revenue sharing. The players are getting paid. So there is now a market value for them.
I saw there's a lavender Lamborghini. I think it's a Lamborghini.
Yeah,
from Kansas State.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's other ways that you can pay the players too, without it just being strictly cash money. But
I wouldn't mind getting a rental purple Lamborghini for 6 months or however long that lease goes for. Sign me up. I'm in.
I wouldn't want to be the one paying for said Lamborghini for a 20-year-old to be driving around. I'd be terrified of what the insurance would be on that.
Yeah. And the likelihood that he's going to wreck it. Wow. Somehow, some way, he's 20. He's going to wreck it.
Internally or externally.
Right. But I don't know. Like, I want the players to get their money. I want them to get as much as they can. But I think if you're entering into this realm of it's NIL, then if they're getting paid by the school, then NIL should be a little bit more to the letter of NIL. And honestly, that's probably a good thing for Cincinnati, Aaron.
In the sense that Cincinnati isn't necessarily going to have to be going up against these crazy, crazy numbers from these SEC schools, the Big Ten schools that are able to do some things. It should. I'm with you. I think this is one of the few times we actually agree wholeheartedly where it should be paid for name, image, and likeness, and it should be based on the standard that has been set. It shouldn't just be all willy-nilly with the pay for play. So yeah, I agree. I think that it does put Cincinnati closer to an equal footing. Either that or it forces teams that are in some of these conferences to go back to under the table.
I'm also going to be interested in how is the standard set? What are the rates? Like if we're talking about in Alabama, let's hypothetically say, it would be pretty easy for them to skyrocket the rates on what these college athletes are being paid, because Alabama and Auburn are pretty much all that state has. So they probably could make a little more there than a kid that's in Cincinnati with the Reds, the Bengals, FC Cincinnati, UC football, UC basketball, Xavier, because they're worth more in that market. So where are we coming up with this standard for what a going rate is, I guess, is the answer.
Maybe not Xavier worth more, but I get what
no, I meant in Alabama, it's worth more because with Xavier, it wouldn't be worth much to begin with.
Okay. I thought you were comparing it to the other teams.
No. But you get my point. I'm interested to see where this goes. And they say now there's going to be somebody that kind of oversees all the cases, and then there is going to be an appeal process that didn't exist, which was kind of BS.
Well, I guess what I'm more interested to see is what the penalties would be for breaking some of these rules, because as of late, the penalties have been minuscule at best for anything going on. And it's because the NCAA doesn't have a leg to stand on. They have had their legs completely cut out from under them by their own undoing, really. So I guess I'm just kind of, I wouldn't say waited on bated breath, but I'm very, very excited to see what the penalties look like and how they're going to enforce them or even investigate them for that matter.
Here's the thing that I think is at least a little different here, Aaron, is all of this is part of a court settlement. So as it is written into the agreed upon settlement, I would think that there will be some guidelines that allow the NCAA jurisdiction on these things that were agreed upon in the settlement. You see what I'm saying?
So shall it be written, so shall it be so.
Where at least in court, it'll stand up because there is something written in that they have to be paying these kids market value, and not just
you have a case to reference, not just trying to make a case.
Right. It is in this settlement that was for this major case that this is legally how the NCAA is supposed to operate, as opposed to usually where the NCAA just says, these are the laws and everyone must obey. And the courts are like, except us. We don't have to obey. Anywho. Got anything else?
Kind of a quiet weekend. We got camps. Camps are here. They're here.
Press conference Tuesday. First day of camp at Nippert Stadium Wednesday. Next week out to higher ground. Away we go. That's a wrap. We'll see you tomorrow night on the BBP. It's the Nightcap brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!